We are not a failure. Nigeria is not a failure. This government has not failed. When you see a system that cannot nib a crisis at formative period, then the chances are everyone that comes along the line, the generation, will inherit it. No Nigerian problem started with this government, with the Buhari administration. Not one of them started during this time. Maybe as we move on, the problem has become more and more pronounced than before. I cannot deny that. There's more banditry today than there was at independence. There has been more problems with Boko Haram over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years than there ever was at independence. So I feel a sense of responsibility and duty to talk to government in a manner that government should understand me as a friend of government, not as an enemy of government. When we start shouting on rooftops, hey, some of the people with the strongest voices criticizing government, we put the way to try them. They failed. Some of them were given to executives of some organizations in this country. They opened the accounts of those organizations in their own personal account. Those of you who are old enough. If you doubt that, give me, I'll tell you the name. I don't want to put people with a crisis, but we have them. And they are the staunchest critics of government. How many airports were there in Nigeria in 1960? Airports. Domestic airports. How many international airports were there in Nigeria in 1960? How many seaports were there in Nigeria in 1960? How many are there now? How many universities are there in Nigeria in 1960? How many do we have now? How many polytechnics do we have? How many colleges of education do we have in 1960? How many do we now have? How many hospitals, general hospitals, did we have in 1960? How many special, what do you call them? Specialist hospitals did we have in 1960? How many do we have now? Go down. How many secondary schools were in your state? What is now your state? In 1960, how many secondary schools do you have? How many do you have now? How many Trunk A roads do we have in 1960? How many do we have now? How do you measure progress? Do you measure progress by just the banditry or by Boko Haram occurrences in Nigeria? We have a way of always comparing ourselves with some other places. Yes, it's a natural phenomenon. We all tend to do so. But the fact remains, Nigeria is not Ghana. Nigeria is Nigeria. We have a population of not less than 200 million people. No African country that I know has that population to feed. Yes, we fail here and there in terms of managing things and the rest of it, even at government level. I admit this. But let us not aggregate those samples here and there of what you can see as measurable failure as a failure of the whole country. No country, no matter how civilized, no matter how good the economy is, has no failings. See what's happening in America. They are a democracy. Are we more democratic than they are? Are we more civilized than they are? The education is their own education. The culture is their own culture. We still see cracks of failure.